StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई affordable.
Good evening to all the dear students and the viewers of the ethics case studies. So you already completed 6 case studies. So this would be our case study number 7 that you are going to discuss. And also that we have completed all the case studies that has been asked in the year 2022. So now we are going to the case studies that has been asked in the year 2021. This is Babu Gunashekaran, Faculty for Indian Polity and Governance, and I also deal with the case studies. So why this series has been started is keeping in mind the requirements of the students who are preparing for the civil service examination, who also have to face this ethical case studies in their GS paper 4. And with regard to ethical case studies, because there is no formal education, many students are unaware as to how to approach these case studies. So this series can be of great help for the students who wanted to prepare for the examination, especially how to approach the ethical case studies. So what is an ethical case study? As I have been telling in number of classes for the students who may be new to this particular lecture. So ethical case study is an approach which has been brought in by UPSC in the year 2013 when they revamped and when they changed the examination pattern. And the idea behind this ethical case studies is to put the aspirants in a situation that where they are difficult to decide, and try to check the attitude, try to check the personality, and how the aspirants are able to make decisions which involves a number of ethical issues is what is to be tested in these case studies. So what exactly that you'll have to keep in your mind when you take up the case studies, that you'll have to keep in your mind that whenever a case study is presented to you, first you should be in a position to identify the various ethical issues. Something which you feel like it is wrong, something you feel like it is not only wrong according to the values that you hold, but maybe something which is legally wrong. So try to identify that when such a wrong option is taken or when such a wrong thing is happening, it is going to affect the various stakeholders who are involved in this particular case. So once you identify the ethical issues and the stakeholders, then more or less you are in a position to take a decision on that particular matter. So that is basically the approach. So this approach is basically to decide the personality traits which is reflected through the decisions and the answers that they write to the case studies. And that is why this particular approach has been brought in. So we'll today take up one more case study which has been asked from the Civil Service Examination 2021. I have picked up a case. So moving forward, we'll try to solve all the case studies in the Civil Service Examination 2021. So let me briefly tell you this particular case, what this particular case is all about. So this case is all about, you'll have to put yourself in this particular position. So the case says that you are a vice principal. You are a vice principal in a medium, you are a vice principal in a college which is located in a middle class town. It is not a very big town or a city. It's a middle class town. There's a college and you are the vice principal of that particular college. And recently the principal has retired. And because the principal of the college is retired, then all the responsibilities with regard to the administration falls on your shoulder. And in these circumstances, the management is looking for a new principal. So the new principal is to be chosen by the management, which the management will soon decide. Now in this context, there is also a feeling that you may be promoted as the principal. Under these circumstances, the annual examination is happening in the college. And in the annual examination, it was found that couple of your students in your college has involved in some malpractices in certain unfair means during the examination process. And this was caught by the flying squad who have come from the university to which your college is affiliated. And on further inquiry, it is also found that a senior lecturer from your college has helped these students. And it was also brought to your notice that the senior lecturer is very close to the management. He is very close to the management. And unfortunately, he himself is involved in helping these students. And further, you immediately inform this to the management. And further, the management informs you that by any means, you'll have to settle this issue with the flying squad. Because if this information goes out, it could bring disrepute to the organization, to the college. And also, the management is very concerned about these two students, because of these two students, one is found to be a son of a local politician who has helped the college in getting recognition with the present university. And the second person who was engaged in the malpractice was found to be a son of a local businessman and who has given a lot of donation to the college. So the management is very serious that these two people, personalities, are very important to the management, and hence this issue has to be sorted out and settled by any means. That's the direction that is given by the management to the vice principal. Now, when the vice principal is thinking about the situation, there is a call that is coming from his administrative officer in the college. The administrative officer is informing that the students' union is protesting outside the campus, demanding strictest action against the senior faculty and the students who are involved in the malpractices, that is in the unfair practices. So in these circumstances, as a vice principal, you will have to act because you are the decision-making authority right now, keeping into consideration the reputation of the organization, the directions from the management, the management's interest, and keeping into mind that you'll have to ensure justice to the students also. You'll have to ensure justice to the students who are affected, because the examination is a merit-based process, and if somebody is engaging in an unfair practice, then it is an injustice to the other students who are following the rules. Now, in these circumstances, you'll have to decide. So the case is a classic example of number of ethical issues that is involved in this particular case, and majorly it is related to certain subject matter. So I also said that whenever you read a particular case, try to identify the subject matter of that particular case. So we'll gradually discuss all those things as I proceed. First, let me just go through the case study. So for your further understanding, so we'll go through the case studies and then I'll take up the ethical issues and the directives that is given in the case study. So before I proceed further, on behalf of StudyIQ, I also wish you all a happy Raksha Bandhan. So on the eve of Raksha Bandhan, StudyIQ also offers a discount on all the courses that they have got. So they have also offered a discount on the prelims to interview batches. So the prelims to interview batch, as the name suggests, it takes care of every requirement of the aspirants right from the prelims till the interview stage. So you know that the stage of the examination is broken into multiple stages. So every stage is taken care. Now this discount is not only available in the prelims to interview batches, but it is also available in the optional batches. It is also available in the state PCS. It is also available in the long-term foundation program that StudyIQ offers. And in any of these courses, if you want to take an admission, you can just go to the StudyIQ website, download the brochure and get to know more about these courses. And the last date till which this offer is available is till 31st of August 2023. So you have a couple of days still left. So if you want, you can avail these courses. And if you want to get an additional discount on these courses, you can use my code BOBULAK. That will fetch you an extra discount on the prices that is offered. All right. So with this, I'll just move on to the case study that we wanted to discuss. So whatever case study that I summarized is exactly this. So let me just go through you for your further understanding and also to understand as to how to approach a case study. As I have told in the previous lectures also, the first thing that you have to take in your mind when you are about to solve a case study is that first you'll have to understand each and everything. You'll have to understand the various stakeholders. So better you read and reread. Try to read it twice at least to comprehend the various issues. So let me just go to the case study. You are a vice principal of a degree college in one of the middle class towns. Principal has recently retired and management is looking for his replacement. So that is the principal has recently retired and it is looking for the replacement. There is also feelers that the management may promote you as principal. In the meantime, during the annual examination, the flying squad, so that means a flying squad has come, which came from the university. So that means to the university which the college is affiliated. From there, the flying squad has come, caught 2 students red-handed involved in the unfair means. So that is very unfortunate for the college, that the students are engaged in some unfair practices. What is even more unfortunate is that you can read it here. A senior lecturer of the college was personally helping these students in this act, which is very unfortunate. As a lecturer, you cannot help the students, and the students involved in unfair practices itself is not a very good thing, an appropriate thing, but a senior lecturer helping them is very, very unfortunate. The senior lecturer also happens to be close to the management, so that is even more unfortunate, because now the vice principal has to act in this particular thing, but the senior lecturer is found to be close to the management of the college. One of the student was the son of a local politician who was responsible in getting the college affiliated to the present reputed university. So yes, that the local politician has helped, but his son is involved in the unfair practice. So is it something that can be can the management let it go because of the help that is done by the politician? Is what is the crux of this ethical issue. The second student was the son of a local businessman who has donated maximum funds for running the college. That is also there. So both these students who involved in unfair practices and their parents have a lot of influence and they are found to be very important to the management as well. You immediately, that is the vice principal, has immediately informed the management regarding this unfortunate incident. The management told you to resolve this issue with flying squad at any cost. That means the management is very clear, this news should not go out. At any cost, you try to settle this particular issue. Whatever way that you take, it is up to you, but it should not go out, because they further said that such incident will not only tarnish the image of the college, but also the politician and the businessmen are very important personalities for the functioning of the college. So two stands taken by the management. One is that it can bring disrepute to the institution, the college, and second thing, that they also wanted that politician and the businessmen are very important, they feel, and hence in order to maintain this relationship, they have to put an end to this issue amicably. So that's the direction that is given to the vice principal, that is to you in this case. You are also given a hint that your further promotion as a principal depends on your capability of resolving this issue with a flying squad. So the management is also looking for the full-time principal. So the management also conveyed that you settle this issue, then your chances are bright that you will be promoted as a principal. So a lot of things at stake personally for you also, because your professional growth might depend upon how you are able to deal with this issue. So this exactly puts you in a lot of ethical dilemmas and an ethical question. On the one hand, putting an end to this particular issue peacefully, amicably, will be unethical, but it will give you a lot of personal benefit, a professional growth in what you are doing. So is it okay for you to professionally grow even by doing an unethical thing, is one of the ethical dilemma and the issue that we have to face in this particular case study. In the meantime, you were intimated by your administrative officer that certain members of the students' union are protesting outside the college gate against the senior lecturer and the students involved in this incident and demanding strict action against the defaulters. So that is natural, because it is an injustice to the students who have followed the rules and regulations. An examination is a merit-based process, and in the merit-based process, somebody is following an unfair means that you are ensuring injustice and unjust to the other sections of the students who have followed a fair practice. So in this particular scenario, you as a vice principal, what you are going to do? So now let us go to the directives of this particular question. So what the question's directives, exactly it is to the directives that you have to answer, okay? But to write an answer to the directives, probably we'll have to understand certain things. So we'll also do those things as well before go to the directives. Discuss the ethical issues involved in this particular case. What do you think is not appropriate thing to do as per the value system and norms in the society, or according to your own conscience? What do you think is not an appropriate thing? So those are all the major ethical issues. So first try to identify the ethical issues. Anyways, that has been asked as a directive also. Now, second thing is critically examine the options available to you as vice principal. What options will you adopt and why? So what are the various options that you can take? And among them, what option will you take? So please understand, whenever they ask you what are the possible options, not necessarily every option is an ethically right option. So you will identify that there will be a lot of ethical issues and there will be a lot of stakeholders. The best option would be you are doing something ethically right, which is also legally right, and also you are trying to take care of the interest of all the stakeholders. That would be the best option, but not necessarily as a vice principal you'll have to do the right thing. You can do a wrong thing also. You can do somewhat which is probably 50% right and 50% is wrong. You could have done better also. So try to give an option in a mixed manner, and among them you can choose the best one. Alright, so this is something that you will get only by practice. The more the case studies that you practice over a period of time, the time that takes you to deal with a case study will reduce. So maybe initially it will take you half an hour, but probably if you practice more and more case studies, you will come to that particular limit where you can deal with a case study in 5 to 6 minutes or 7 to 8 minutes. And that is what is exactly the time, or 10 minutes probably, let us assume 10 to 12 minutes. That is exactly the time that you have gotten the examination. So don't worry about the time initially. Initially when you practice, try to take time and then gradually solve it. Now, let me just go into the case study, but before I get into the subject matter, before I get into the directives in the case study, so let me also touch upon as to what is the subject matter on which this entire case study falls upon. So subject matter means that what is the broader theme this case study is revolving around. Identifying that is very important, so that appropriate explanation and appropriate words may be used in your case study. Otherwise, all the case study will look similar. So you'll have to differentiate one case study from another case study. So here I think that these are the things which is given in your syllabus itself has an overlap with this particular case study. So one, I would feel ethics in human actions and public relationship. When I say ethics in human actions, which means basically how the ethical values will drive the human behavior or will decide the conduct of the human behavior. So to hear the vice principal, how he acts largely depends upon what is his ethical value. And as a principal, he is also holding a very important office where he has to interact with a number of stakeholders. So I would say it is an important public office. Although it is not a government office, it's an office which everybody is looking at. It's a very respected post. And occupying a respected post means that your conduct has to be in line with the values like integrity, honesty, and all those things. So I would say that this case study is related to ethics in human actions and public relationship. How ethics will drive a person who is holding a post which is very much considered to be a public office. And then the second thing is role of educational institutions in inculcating values. Very, very important. As a vice principal of a college, you are part of an educational institution. You are occupying a very important post in the educational institution. And as an educational institution, the educational institution has got some role. The educational institution has to impart the right values in the students. Now, as a vice principal, how you are going to deal with this particular issue is that you are also turn out to be a role model to a number of students. The students are going to closely observe you. So this is the value system that they are going to take forward in their life. And whatever that they take forward in their life, so tomorrow they can occupy a number of important positions in the various postings or in their life. So this value system is going to influence their behavior, and that is going to have an influence upon the society. So as a responsible person, you should do the right thing, and it is very, very important because you are occupying a position in an educational institution, and an educational institution has an important role in determining the behavior of individuals. Third, ethical concerns and dilemmas in private institutions. Of course, it is not a government college, so that information is not given here. So as a person who is holding a vice principal, because they are talking about the management and not the government specifically, so there's an implied understanding that it is a private educational institution. So in a private institution also, you come across a lot of ethical concerns and dilemmas. So that is again a question here. So as a vice principal, you wanted to probably ethically do the right thing, but the management is giving a direction. And if you don't act according to the management direction, your personal growth and promotion might get affected. So there is an ethical dilemma for you in this particular case. So this is the major subject matter upon which the entire case study revolves. So once you understand the subject matter, then it becomes easy for you to write an answer. So that's the first thing that you have to do. Now come to the stakeholders. So whether asked in the question or not asked in the question, so try to quickly identify the stakeholders once you go through the case study. So here the important stakeholder here is yourself, because you have to put yourself in the position of the vice president. So whatever action that you're going to take has an important effect on the other stakeholders. You are in a decision making authority. Although you are under a little bit of dilemma or under the constraints from the direction which is given by the management, but your decision has a very crucial role to play in the entire thing. And then the two students and the senior faculty who is involved in the unfair practices. So as a vice principal, you'll have to see whether to punish them because they have engaged in the unfair practices, or to go with the direction which is given by the management because they feel that the father of these two students, they are very important, and this could also bring disrepute to the management or the college. And then of course the college management, so they wanted to preserve the interest of the college. They don't care about anything else apart from the interest and the reputation of the college. The students union, who wanted justice to the students and who wanted the students who are engaged in unfair practices and the senior faculty to be punished. So they are also protesting for that. The politician and the local businessmen, of course, they are also interested in this particular case because whatever happens may have an impact upon the college based on the behavior of the politician and the businessman. And of course the university staffs, so the who have come for the as a flying squad who has found this unfair practices, so they also have a stake in this particular issue. So once you identify these stakeholders, now let us try to understand the ethical issues involved in this particular case. So this is anyways which is asked in the question itself. So let us directly go to the ethical issues that is involved in this particular case. So see the first, these are the ethical issues probably that I have understood from this particular case study. So one, the first case study, first ethical issue is the unfair practices by two students during the annual examination with the support of a senior faculty. So which is something which is clearly against the violation of the rules and regulations. And it is also ethically wrong because the other students are going through a fair practice, but whereas two students are using unfair practice, which I would say not only legally it is wrong as per violating the rules and regulations, but it is also an unethical conduct. It is also against their own conscience. And on top of that, a senior faculty who is in a responsible position who has to mentor the students properly, he himself is involved. It's a very, very unfortunate thing, a completely an unethical act on the part of the senior faculty. Now, whether this act of the two students and the senior faculty, will it go unpunished? If it go unpunished, it is an injustice to the entire students fraternity who are following the fair practices. Then what is the value of merit? The idea of having the examination is to identify the merit of the students. But if it is happening in an unfair manner, then the merit has no value in this case. So it is a completely an unethical act in my opinion. Now, the second thing is direction of the management to settle down the matter amicably. So the management in fact has to recognize that this is something which is unethical, which can bring disrepute to the organization in the long run if it is not rectified. But however, the management is management is focusing on a narrow interest, and the management is giving a direction to the vice principal to settle this issue amicably, which is again ethically wrong in my opinion. Not only ethically wrong, it also goes against the rules, established norms as per how the college is to be governed. Third thing is that any action that will be done as per legally, the management fears that there is the reputation of the college might be affected. So that is again an ethical issue, which in the opinion that because the management feels that the reputation of the college might be affected, so even they are ready to let the individuals who are involved in the unfair practices not to be punished. So that is again an ethical question. So in the name of the reputation of the college, can they be left without any punishment? The professional responsibility to act fairly to ensure justice. Now, as a vice principal, he has to act professionally. He has a professional responsibility because he is a decision authority here. So, can he act professionally or should he act professionally? If he acts professionally, then probably he has to punish those involved in the unfair means or the practices. But in the same time, there is a different direction from the management telling that the reputation of the organization is at stake. So again, this is an ethical issue for him. So whether to do that or this, so he is completely in an ethical dilemma. And on top of that, the next issue is that if he is going to punish those individuals, it can have an impact on the promotion and the professional growth, which is also at stake. So because the management has given him a hint that probably depending upon how you handle this issue, you will also get the promotion. So he has to see whether to get promoted or to do the right thing. If he does the right thing, will he get promoted? So probably there's a chance that he may not get promoted if he does the right thing. So these are all the various ethical issues and the dilemmas that he has to go through as the vice principal of the institution as to what to decide. So once you identify the list of ethical issues, now come to the next directives in the question. Critically examine the options available with you as the vice principal. What options will you adopt and why? So that's the next directive that is given in the question. So this is where I said that try to identify 4 or 5 options. Not necessarily every option is the right option, but try to give one option which is ethically right, which to some extent is also legally right and ethically right. Now why or how you decide that this option is something which is the best option is that you are trying to take care of the interest of the stakeholders by doing the right thing. That would be the most best option. So now let us try to identify some of the options. So this is my sincere advice to all the students. Do not restrict yourself only to these options, but probably you try to think about the case and you can put your own options also. You can put that in the comment box so that what we can do is that we can generate multiple ideas and only these ideas will help you to deal with a case study in a better way. Now see the options here. So first thing that I have chosen in this case as the vice principal is to resolve the issue with the flying squad by hook or by crook. So what does it mean by hook or by crook? Hook or by crook means any means that is at my disposal. Be it a right thing, be it a wrong thing, whatever the means. You bribe the flying squad or you do something else, whatever the means that you can do, you try to settle the issue. So resolve the issue with the flying squad by hook or by crook and warn the students' union immediately to call off the protest or to face strict action. Now you are the senior authority in that particular college. So what you are doing? So you have a number of resources at your disposal. You know about it. So you can use any means to settle the flying squad. So that means once the flying squad is settled, then you do not have any pressure from the universities because they're not going to send the report to the university. And at the same time, you call the students' union representatives and you tell them that if you do not call off the protest immediately, I'll take a strictest of action against the students' union. So it is not a big deal for you to do that because the management has given you free hand to settle down this issue. And the students' union may not have much voice because you are an authoritative position and they may fear about their career, and hence you may also put an end to this. Now you are completely taking care of the interest of the management, but that's the advantage of this particular option. But as a vice principal, are you setting the right values? As a vice principal, are you doing the ethical thing? Is it the right option? Is it right on your part to do this? So if you ask that particular question, so definitely it is unethical or it is not in accordance with the rules. On the one hand, you are setting the individuals free who have done the mistake. On the other hand, you are threatening the individuals who are seeking the justice. So completely an unethical thing. So although this can be one of the options which can help the management. Now come to the second option. Promise the students' union on the one hand. So on the one hand, so simultaneously you are making discussions with both the parties. Promise the students' union on the one hand to take strict action against those involved in the unfair practice. So what is the promise that you are making? So you are making a promise to the student union that I'll take strict action against those involved in the unfair practice as a vice principal, with an ulterior motive of letting it go once the tension diffuses. That means now you realize that the students' union are with a lot of tension. So I'll make a promise to them. So once a tension diffuses, that is there in your mind, in your ulterior motive, your hidden agenda is that you're not going to act. You just want to diffuse the tension for a moment. Okay, so that is one. On the other hand, you are resolving the issue with the flying squad by hook or by crook. That means by using any means, you are trying to resolve the issue with the flying squad. You are settling down that. At the same time, you are making the promise to the students' union that I will take action against them. But right now, you call off your protest, and if you call off your protest, I'll be able to take an action which will take me some time. So all that you are trying to do is that you are trying to diffuse the tension for time being, and after diffusing the tension for time being, you are also settling that particular issue, and you feel that students later may not look into this because after the annual examination is over, probably they will go on vacation, and hence nobody is going to look into that. So here the only thing that you are doing is, which is not, if you compare with the previous thing, here what you are trying to do is, here again you are trying to completely take the management side. You are trying to do the best thing for the management, but without threatening the students, which is you are doing it in the first case. But again, is it ethical on your part? Even if you are not threatening the students because you feel that the students are not doing the right thing, the students' union, because naturally they will protest when some injustice happens, but you are making a false promise. You are fooling the students. So again, completely unethical. Although you don't want to threaten them because you feel that they are doing the right thing, but you are again fooling them, which is a completely unethical thing. So this also may not be the best option in my opinion. Now, what is the next option that you can take? Try to convince the management to act against those involved in the unfair practices, and if the effort is not successful, submit the resignation letter. Now here you are making your conscience very clear because the management has already given you a direction. So the management has told that this is what is their stand. But what you are trying to do, you are trying to convince the management. So how you are trying to convince the management? Probably you can say that if you don't act against them, then that will only bring disrepute to the organization, because the news may spread to others and they may feel that the management is not following the rules and regulations. And of course, now the university is affiliated, so we are not in much help of the politician, and in this way we cannot run the administration. So it is better that we follow the rules and regulations. So that is something that you can try to convince the management, and if the management is adamant, probably you can submit your resignation, telling them that I cannot do this unethical thing, so that is up to you to decide, but I am not in a position to do that. And because you are a vice principal, if not now, gradually you will get some other institute also, maybe a bigger career is also waiting for you, but you are making it very clear that I am not going to do this unethical thing, because whatever I am going to do, it is going to set an example for the students in the future, and I cannot guide them in a wrong manner. So this is one of the good option that you can do. But I would say that this even is not a good, the best option in my opinion. So let us go to the next option and try to compare this with the last option. Now take the appropriate action as per the rules against both the students and the senior faculty who was helping them in the unfair practices, and then face the consequences. Now compare the previous option. In the previous option itself, that you are ready to submit the resignation. What else the management can do? In fact, the management may not even tell you to resign. At the maximum, the management may not promote you. They can bring a different principal. So that is a maximum consequence I can foresee, but you are ready to resign in this case. But the problem when you try to resign is, yes, of course, you are doing the right thing. You are not doing anything unethical, and you are trying to convince the management. So that is also a good thing. But what if the management accepts your resignation and then puts somebody else and does the same thing? And hence it is better that when you are ready to resign, it is better that you do the right thing and then face the consequences. So here you are maintaining the rules and regulations. You are doing ethically what is right. You are setting an example for the future generations to follow these values. So I would think this is the best option to do. And as an education institution, as already said, it has to teach the students the appropriate values. So here you are trying to set them here you are trying to set yourself as an example and teach them the right values in the society. Okay, so to me the option number 4 would be the best option if you can do that. But however, you can think of the other options as well. Okay, so that is how the case study. So the case study does not mean that whatever we are discussing here is an end to the case study. You can come out to the other options also. So this is the way that you will have to approach the different case studies. And if you want the PPT of this particular case study, you can get it from my Telegram channel, Babu Gunashekaran 337. And apart from that, in my Telegram channel, I have started a new initiative of putting a daily current affairs question. So for the last 1 month, I have been doing this particular exercise, and I'm very sure that the questions that I'm putting is based on the UPSC standard. And when I say UPSC standard, let us assume that you are following this current affairs question for 1 year, where there will be around 300 questions, let us assume. So there is a possibility 10 to 15 questions may come in your UPSC prelims examination also, either directly or indirectly from the theme which is put as a question in this Telegram channel. So I would suggest you to follow these questions, and if you want to follow these questions, you'll have to subscribe to my Telegram channel. Okay, so it will be definitely useful to all of you. Thank you very much for watching this particular case study. All the very best. God bless.
StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।